If there's a more anticipated headphone release in 2022, I haven't heard about it yet. Folks, the new Sony XM5 headphones are here. Let's check them out. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Caleb Dennison, and today we're going to dive into the latest version of Sony's ridiculously popular headphone lineup, the WH-1000XM5. I've owned and evaluated every version of these headphones dating back to the 2017 originals, and it's been fun to see the improvements Sony's folded in over that time. So today we're going to talk about what's new, what's the same, and figure out if the XM5 here will be your next must-have pair of noise-canceling cans. As always, I just want to take a second to say thanks for watching and encourage you to let us know how we did by using those buttons and the comment section down below. If you end up with any lingering questions by the end of this video, leave me a comment and I'll do my best to answer them. Thanks so much. Now, let's dig in. So let's start with what's new with the XM5. First off is the case. It's got a canvas style textile on the outside with hard-sided reinforcements inside, but what's new is the shape. It's more of a U than an oval, and that's because the headphones don't fold down like they have in the past. The ear cups still swivel, but they don't fold in. Inside the case is a section for the USB-A to USB-C charging cable, as well as a headphone cable with a 90-degree angled plug on one end. Both sides of the cable have 3.5mm plugs, and that'll make it easy to replace the cable if it's lost or if you want to use a longer aftermarket cable. Next up, the XM5 are a bit smaller overall and lighter than previous versions. Smaller in part because Sony is using a 30mm driver in the ear cups rather than a 40mm driver, and lighter because that driver unit is made of carbon fiber now. They're also lighter due to different materials used in the headband and elsewhere. Plus, for more comfort, Sony is using new synthetic leather material on the ear cups, though you still get the same sort of memory foam padding underneath the ear cups and the headband. I'll dig more into the comfort of these headphones in a little bit, but continuing with what's new, the total battery life itself remains unchanged at about 30 hours per full charge, but quick charging has leveled up big time. You can get about 3 hours out of, get this, 3 minutes of charging. Now, that doesn't mean that they're gonna fully charge in 30 minutes, but it does mean that even with just a few minutes of last-second charging before you run out the door, you'll get through a workday or a domestic flight, no problem. Next on the new features list has to do with the noise canceling. Now, Sony claims that its already best-in-class noise canceling is now even better, cutting out more of the high mids and treble frequencies than it did in the past. Now, this should mean, in theory, that the sort of cutting part of people's voices should be tamped down even more than before, and that airplane noise, wind noise, that sort of thing will be even more effectively removed. To make this happen, Sony doubled down on a bunch of tech in these headphones. They now have 2 audio processing chips instead of the 1 they used in the past, and they now have 8 microphones, up from 4, splitting up the ANC and voice duties. Also new for the noise canceling feature is automatic ANC optimization. So with the XM4, for example, you'd run this optimizer program from the Sony headphone app, and it would tailor the noise canceling to work best in your environment. Now, there's no need to go through all that. The headphones just do it automatically. So the intention is for the ANC to be as powerful as possible, no matter what kind of noisy environment they're tasked with canceling out. Speaking of microphones, the XM5 now have 4 beamforming mics dedicated to your voice. Those 4 mics work with AI to, and this is according to Sony, basically eliminate all background noise except your voice when you're making a call. Presumably, I could go outside, hit up a construction zone, make a call, and the person on the other end would never hear anything but my voice. I definitely tested that out, so stick around for the results. So those are the highlights on what's new. What remains unchanged is USB-C charging, touch controls on the right ear cup, multi-point connections so you can be connected to, say, your laptop and a phone at the same time, and the speak to chat feature, which disables ANC and turns on ambient mode so you can have conversations without having to remove your headphones. Also unchanged is that the XM5 support only LDAC for high-res audio and employ the DSEE processing to make lower quality music sound better. Finally, the sensor that auto-pauses music when you take them off and resumes when you put them on is still there, you just can't see it anymore. So, how does this all work out in real life? Well, let's start with comfort. Honestly, the XM4 were among the most comfortable headphones in my collection already, but I did notice on a recent flight that they were starting to bother me after wearing them for a few hours. I don't know, maybe my head got bigger. Anyway, the XM5 are in fact even more comfortable than before. They're challenging the Bose 700 in that regard even. I can feel the difference if I hold the XM4 in one hand and the XM5 in the other. And the clamping force is just enough to keep them secure, while the new synthetic leather material here is soft and breathable, so you won't get the ear sweats. I also noticed that the inside of the ear cups is a little bit roomier than before. So if you have larger ears, these may be a bit more accommodating than prior versions. I'll dig into that stuff a bit more when I do my comparison between the XM5 and the XM4. But the takeaway here is that the XM5 are about as comfortable as headphones get. As for noise canceling, it is better, but by how much? I would say the difference is very noticeable. Like, I feel pretty confident saying that the noise canceling is as effective as the Bose 700, and at this point, I think it is at least as good, if not better, than the Apple AirPods Max. The higher frequency cancellation makes a big difference, especially on canceling out wind noise and voices. Like, I feel pretty confident saying that you just can't get better. It really is that good, folks. Speaking to the other end of noise canceling, I wanted to check these out for phone calls, obviously. Now, I wasn't able to get out on a windy day to demo these for you, which is surprising given I'm in Oregon in the spring. But I did get out to a noisy spot and make this recording, which should speak to the overall voice quality as well as the ambient noise canceling. Have a listen. All right, so right now I'm recording with my phone and its microphone. There's a lot of grinding noise going on in the building next to me. There's a lot of buses and other kinds of traffic going by. Plenty of noise out here on the street, as you can hear. Now I'm going to switch over to the XM5 headphones and see if it really is able to get rid of all of that. Okay, so I've switched over to the XM5 headphones. The grinding is still very much going on in the building next to me. We've still got lots of traffic going by around me. There's a buzzing sound, I think, coming from behind me from the garage. It's really hard to tell because the active noise canceling in the headphones, it's still working very well while still giving me a sense of my own voice. So I don't feel like I'm yelling to overcome anything, but more importantly, the question is, how much of the street noise and the construction noise is it able to get rid of? If my tests are any indication, it should be pretty much eliminated. Now, if you couldn't tell from that clip, the XM5 don't just reduce background noise, they pretty much erase it. You could fool anyone on the other end of a phone call or Zoom call into believing you are in a private, quiet place, even if your environment was a zoo of noise. Again, I don't think there's a headphone out there that can outdo the XM5 for calls. So far, the XM5 are slaying the competition. Again, in terms of battery life, I'm not done testing them yet. I haven't had enough time to run the battery all the way down till they're dead, then test the total time to fully charge them, but I will issue an update on that very soon. I will say though that Sony has never failed to back up its battery life claims in the past, and I see no reason to think it would suddenly start bloating its numbers now. Finally, we arrive at sound quality. I know that some of you might be concerned about the fact that Sony stepped down to a smaller 30mm driver, but these days, that's not really indicative of much. A 30mm driver with the right digital signal processing, DSP, and amplification can outperform a 40mm driver that hasn't been tuned very well. So, how did Sony do? The differences are somewhat subtle, but the XM5 are improved in the audio quality department. I noticed the most difference in the bass. Now, the XM series headphones have always had really satisfying bass response, and that hasn't changed. I just feel like the XM5 are more refined. So they still get very deep in the bass, reaching the lowest octaves with ease and delivering a good amount of presence. There's also still a good deal of punch in the mid-bass section, and I still think they're a little bit more bass forward compared to some of the most expensive closed-backed audiophile headphones you can buy, but maybe not as bass forward as before. Like, for my personal listening, I like a little extra goosing in the bottom end, and the XM5 still have that, but they're more nuanced than previous versions. It's all very welcome. I think you're gonna be thrilled with the bass response on the XM5. The mid-range is still fairly open. The bass doesn't make voices sound chesty, and there's good transparency overall, and the treble is just exquisite. It has shine and shimmer where appropriate, open and airy when the recording calls for it, but they never get into artificially bright territory. In general, the XM5 show nuanced but noticeable improvements in sound quality. I think they stand toe-to-toe with models from Sennheiser and Technics in the audio quality department, while pretty much acing the competition in just about every other aspect. I think the Technics A800 maybe are the only ones really giving Sony XM5 a meaningful run for their money on the battery performance, but honestly, with such impressive quick charging, I'm having a tough time imagining why you'd need more battery life in any practical scenario. So my final verdict, the Sony XM5 are another huge win for Sony. They took a winning formula, tweaked it here and there, and just made the best even better, which, being perfectly frank here, is the headline we've been writing around these headphones for years now. The best just got better has been used so much, what do I say now? I guess the best just got better-er. These really are a 5-star product, or 10 stars if you like more stars. All the stars. These headphones are an absolute delight. Thanks as always for watching, everyone. Who wants to see the XM5 versus the XM4? They do cost at least $50 more after all. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Please smash like and subscribe, and here's 2 other videos I think you'll like.